Today we will reproduce the bottom navigation bar of the main screen with dotted navigation and a call button for list of locations. We will add a new page with a list of locations and configure the jump to this list. We will add an editable list for a quick jump to the weather for the desired city, also adding the ability to delete unnecessary ones. I am now planning to add a bottom navigation bar just as in the original application. The panel contains dotted navigation and a jump button to the page with a list of locations. Let's add a group and match it with the original. Add a white border to the top of the group. Move the group above the table. Now, I plan to use the list widget to reproduce the dotted navigation. Add the list to the group. Adjust the size. The maximum number of locations in the original application is 20. I will now add 20 blank lines to the list. In the list, each line corresponds to a separate element. Let's adjust the colors of the active and inactive items on the list. Set the indent between elements. Adjust the size of the widget in the Geometry Inspector. Fix the widget position in the center of the group. Now, I will add an action to synchronize the current item in the weather table with the active item in the dotted navigation. To do this, we use the current index change event of the table and the set index action of the list. As an argument, we will apply the current table index. Scroll through and make sure everything works. The dotted navigation elements are very small and it is impossible to use your finger on the phone to reach the desired element. In the original application, clicking on the right side of the navigation layer takes you to the next item, while clicking on the left side takes you to the previous one. Now, I'm planning to add two transparent buttons on the top of the navigation layer. Let's add the next action. When you click on the button, the weather table will scroll to the next item. Let's copy the button to scroll to the previous item. Now we need to synchronize the number of rows in the weather table with the number of dots in the navigation layer. Synchronization will run when the application starts and when the number of rows in the table changes. That is, when locations are added or removed. Save the project and restart the app. We see that the number of items has been synchronized. Turn on the original widget. Now let's add a button for jumping to the page for adding and deleted locations. Copy the next item button, rename it to location button and shift it to the right. In the type list, select Image button. Left-click the Image button and select Icon. In the search box, enter list and select the appropriate icon. Copy the icon by right-clicking. Adjust the size of the icon using the indent field. Set the color to white for the normal state of the button. Gray for the pressed state. Note that when the button is copied, the swipe forward action is preserved. Delete it. Now let's add a new page. Right-click in the navigator and select Add Page. Rename to Locations. Open the page by right-clicking and selecting Open Page, or by double-clicking on the image of the corresponding page. Let's now add a transition to the page with a click of the button. Animation of transitions between pages is defined on the Animation tab in the Project Inspector. Add the original image with a list of locations to the Locations page by selecting the Locations PNG image. I will now reproduce a single item from this list. To do this, I am using a group with the three text widgets: city name, time, and temperature. I will adjust the appearance of the text to match the original. To improve the text clarity, enable native text rendering. We will now add a background image with weather conditions. Add an image and select any image file in the Weather List folder. Now connect the widgets to the database. For now, we will apply the location name from the time zone cell. We see that the text did not fit. Let's expand the widget. Now, let's connect the temp widget. We use the current temp cell. Round the value to the nearest whole. Substitute the name of the cell into the replacement template between the double percentage symbols. To get the time, we need to convert the timestamp to hours and minutes. Copy the request from the locations list file. Move the group to the left off screen. Now, I'm planning to add a table to make a list. I will use the group as an element of this list. Add a table. Enter 20 in the field. This is the number of items that will be loaded immediately, even if they are not visible. In the group list, select Location item. In the Database Inspector, we connect the table to the Weather database. Adjust the number of elements in the list. To do this, we can use the Rows and Columns fields, or the List Item section for more precise adjustment. Set semi-transparency to compare with the original. It looks like the sizes of the elements are matching. Restore the table opacity. Note that the time is displayed incorrectly. The reason is that we used a special request. Let's use it for the table as well. Note that the text scrolls. This happens when the text size exceeds the size of the widget. Let's fix this by disabling the widget interactivity. What remains now is to set up the background with the weather conditions. Add an image and select all files in the weather list folder. This will be a helper widget with a set of textures. In the Widget Inspector, rename the items to match the way they are named in the folder. Select the Location Image widget and connect it to the database. To the Current Weather icon cell. In the Replacement Template field, insert the cell name between the double percentage symbols. At the end, add _list. As a result, we will have those file names that we renamed for the Locations Assets widget. Let's now add a transition to the selected location when clicking on an element on the list. For this, we click on the Location Image widget as it fills the entire area of the element. We need this click to perform two actions. Jump to page 1 and open the corresponding element in the weather table. That is, we will define the same index for the table as in the element on the list. Let's check. Note that nothing happens upon the click. This is because the text elements above the image are intercepting the mouse events. Let's fix this. On the Interactivity tab, disable Input. Note a delay in the rendering of the widgets when you go to the page. This is because all elements are removed when leaving the page. They are created anew upon opening. We will make sure that the pages are not recreated every time. Select both pages. Turn on Static in the Interaction Inspector. Now the pages is not removed after being created, and there is no longer a rendering delay when navigating to the page. Now, I want to add a delete button for an element. The button will appear after a swipe to the left. Add the button to the location item group and customize its appearance. Move the button to the right outside of group boundary. With this, the group automatically becomes scrollable. We will change the text color for the press state of the button. In the Style Inspector, disable the scroll bar for the group. Let's now add to the button the action of deleting a row from the weather table in the database. To do this, we can use any widget that is connected to the desired table. Excellent! The elements are deleted.